My brother-in-law's wife joked about me being a widow 6 weeks after we buried my husband. She had no idea what he had confessed to me before he died, so I said it out loud at that table, and she was out of the family by dessert. My husband died in March. I'm still writing that sentence and not really believing it. He fell at a job site. Scaffolding, 3rd level, and I am not going to go into the details of it because I have had to say them out loud to enough people. He did not die that day. That is the part nobody understands unless they have been through it. He was in the ICU for 33 days, and for about the first 2 weeks, I thought we were in a story where he comes home, and then the doctor started using a different kind of sentence with me, and I learned what that means. We have a daughter. She is 4. Her name is Poppy, and she looks exactly like him around the eyes. She never saw him in that hospital. That was his decision, and I want to be very clear that it was his, not mine. He said he did not want the last picture in her head to be that room, the tube, and the sound the machine makes, and his face the color it had gone. I fought him about it for one afternoon. Then I stood in the doorway and looked at him from where a 4-year-old's eyes would be, and I understood, and I never brought it up again. So she has him at the kitchen table instead. She has him at the pool last summer. I would not trade that back now for anything, and it took me a while to be able to say that. Try explaining to a 4-year-old that daddy is not coming back. There is no way to do it. You just do it badly, and then you do it badly again the next week. Anyway, his family has been good to me. His mother, Doreen, calls every day, sometimes to talk and sometimes just to breathe at me for a minute and hang up. And honestly, that helps more than talking. His sisters have been in and out with food. My own family drove 11 hours and stayed 2 weeks, everybody except one person. My brother-in-law's wife is named Larissa. She married Grady 2 years before I married Emmett, and from the day I met her, she treated me like I had wandered into the wrong house. Not rude, exactly. Just cold in a very specific way that other people never quite caught. She would introduce me to her friends as Emmett's girlfriend for 2 years after we were married. Little things. Constant little things. What I never questioned was how close she was with my husband. They talked. They had inside jokes. He would help her move furniture. She would text him about the Bills game. I thought nothing of it because she had known him since before I existed in that family. If you have a sister-in-law who has been around longer than you, you know that dynamic. I was so stupid. About 5 days before he died, on one of the afternoons when he was clear enough to talk properly, he told me he had done something and did not know how to say it. I want to skip this part, and I cannot skip this part. He told me he had an affair with Larissa. He told me it had gone on for a while. And he told me she was pregnant, about 10 weeks at that point, and that the two of them had already agreed to let Grady believe the baby was his. I sat in a plastic chair in a hospital, and my husband told me that. He said he could not carry it out with him. He said his whole family had been up there every single day. His brother had been up there every single day, sleeping in the waiting room, bringing him his own pillow from home, and he could not stand it. I did not scream. I did not say anything for a long time, long enough that a nurse came in and did her checks and left again, with both of us sitting there in it. Then I asked him one question. I asked whether he would ever have told me if he had not fallen. He said he did not know. I walked out to the elevator and down through the lobby and out to the parking garage, and I could not have told you my own name. I remember standing at the pay machine trying to put a ticket in, and it kept spitting it back at me, and a man behind me eventually reached around and did it for me. The next few days, I went back and forth in my own head about whether I should take Poppy and go and never come back. That is the honest truth. I sat in my car down in that garage and thought about it seriously. I never made the decision, because he died on a Thursday morning, and the decision got taken away from me, which people keep telling me is a mercy, and it is not. So I was left holding it. Either I keep his secret and protect what everybody thinks of him, or I do not. And I did not decide, because I could not decide, because I was busy picking out what my husband was going to be buried in. 6 weeks after the funeral, his parents had everybody over. It was not a party. It was more of a checking in on each other thing. A lunch, 20-something people, all the cousins. I did not want to go, and Doreen asked me directly, so I went. And it was fine. It was actually sort of nice. People were careful with me in a way that I could feel, and I know some widows hate that, but I did not mind it. His uncle told a story about Emmett wrecking a go-kart when he was 9, and everybody laughed, and I laughed too. And it was the first time I had laughed in a room full of people. Larissa was not careful with me. She started in the kitchen. She asked if I had thought about what I'm going to do, which is a question that sounds like concern until you hear it in her voice. She said something about how the house was probably too much for me now. She asked, in front of 2 of the aunts, whether I was going back to work full-time or whether Emmett's family would be helping. I let all of it go. I was not in the mood, and I did not have the energy, and I have spent 7 years letting Larissa's comments go. Then we sat down to eat, and she said to the whole table that she supposed I would be one of those women who stay single forever now, just me and the one kid, and that it was a shame I had not had more of them while I had the chance. And there was that silence where everybody hears it and nobody does anything. Doreen looked at her plate. Somebody asked if there was more bread. I want to be honest with you. I could have let that one go too. I have let 100 of them go. But she had spent 2 hours at that house being sad about my husband. She had hugged his mother. She had told a story about him at the table and gotten a little teary at the end of it, and people had reached over and touched her arm. With his baby inside her, and my daughter was 8 feet away in the next room, and something in me went very calm and very quiet. I said, clearly so the whole table could hear me, at least the father of my child was my husband. Grady put his glass down and asked me what that was supposed to mean. And I told him, all of it. What Emmett said to me in that room 5 days before he died. How long it had gone on. That she was pregnant. That the two of them had already agreed he was going to raise it and never know. I did not shout it. I said it like I was reading the weather, and I think that made it worse for everybody. Larissa did not say one word. That is the thing I keep coming back to. She had every second she needed to deny it, and she stood up and just stood there with her hand on the back of the chair, and the longer she said nothing, the more her face answered the question for her. Doreen started crying. One of the aunts took Poppy and the other kids out to the yard, which I will be grateful for forever. Grady asked her once more quietly, and she said his name and nothing else. His father told her to get her things. She left. Somebody drove her. I sat down at that table, with my hands shaking so hard I put them under my legs, and Emmett's sister Bridget put her arm around me and did not say anything at all. And I have never in my life been so grateful for a person not talking. So, AITA for saying that at a family lunch 6 weeks after burying my husband, in front of his parents and about 20 other people, instead of taking it to my brother-in-law privately or just keeping my mouth shut. Update 1. It has been about 7 weeks since I posted and a lot has happened, so I will try to keep this in order. Grady filed. He moved out of the house the same week and he is staying at his parents' for now. He asked for full custody of their 2 kids, who are 6 and 9, and I will come back to that. Larissa dragged out signing. She spent about a month telling him it was a mistake, and she did not know what came over her, and she was not herself. And to be fair to her, I do not think she was ever going to get a better argument than that one. But nobody was buying it. The whole family closed ranks behind Grady. Her own mother called Doreen and apologized, which I did not know until later, and which I am still thinking about. She has not shown 1 ounce of remorse toward me. Not one. What I got instead were messages, and they got worse over about 2 weeks. The first ones were her calling me names. Then it was that I destroyed her family. Then it was that I am the reason her kids do not have a father in the house. And the one that actually made me sit down was when she wrote that we all claim to be family, and the second somebody makes a mistake, we throw them out. And where is the forgiveness? Where is the forgiveness? From the woman who was going to let her husband raise his brother's baby. Then it got serious. I was at the pharmacy on a Tuesday mid-morning. I came out with a bag and my phone in my hand. Her car was parked 4 spaces from mine, facing out. She was not going in. She had not just happened to be there. That is a lot on the other side of town from her, and my car was the only thing in that lot she could have been waiting for. She came across the lot at me yelling, and she got close enough that I had my keys between my fingers, and the only reason nothing happened is that 2 people came out of the doors behind me, and she saw them and stopped walking. I filed for a restraining order the next day, and it was granted. She did not touch me, but I saw where that was going, and so did the judge. Here is a thing I have thought about more than I expected to. Larissa has not worked since her oldest was born. That was her choice, and Grady was fine with it. And she used to make a whole thing about it at family stuff, about how she was lucky, how he took care of everything. He did take care of everything. He adored her. I remember when Emmett and I were dating, watching the 2 of them at a cookout and thinking, that is what I want. That is the good version. She's going to find out very shortly what that arrangement actually cost her. And I would like to tell you, I feel nothing about that. I feel something about it. I am not proud of the something. Update 2. The divorce is done and things have settled into whatever this is now. Grady dropped the full custody request. His lawyer told him plainly that he was not likely to get it and that fighting for it would cost him a year and a lot of money and would put the kids in the middle. So he took a normal arrangement instead. He was not happy about it. He did the right thing anyway. I apologized to him. I went over to his parents' place and told him I was sorry that it came out the way it did, at that table in front of everyone, and that if I could go back, I might have done it differently. He told me I did not owe him an apology. He said I got hit by the same truck he did, and that I am not the person who did anything to him. Then he said something I have not been able to shake. He said the worst part is that he cannot be angry at his brother. There is nowhere to put it. He goes to the cemetery and he cannot even yell, because it is his brother, and he loved him, and he is dead. I know exactly what he means, because I go there too, and I sit in the grass, and I do not know what I am doing there either. I'm furious at Emmett. I miss Emmett so much, some days I cannot stand up. Both of those are true at the same time, and nobody prepares you for that. There is one more thing, and then I am done. Grady has been avoiding Larissa completely. He gets Bridget to do the handoffs, or his mom, and last month he asked me to drop the kids at her place because nobody else was free. I reminded him that I have a restraining order, so no. But then I told him the rest of it, which is that he has to stop. He is skipping things. He did not go to his youngest's field day because she would be there. He asked Bridget to go to the parent-teacher conference, and I told him that if he keeps doing this, in 10 years his kids are not going to remember which parent cheated. They are going to remember which parent was not there. He got quiet, and then he said he still loves her and he hates himself for it. I told him that is not something you get to switch off. My husband cheated on me with his wife and then died, and I still love him, and I sit at his grave. You do not get to choose. You just have to keep showing up anyway. He went to the fall open house in September. Both of them were there. He said it was awful, and he did it anyway. Last thing, and this one is for the family more than anything. Everybody has been walking on eggshells around Grady and me since all of it happened. People stop talking when we come in a room. My cousin-in-law postponed telling everyone she was expecting because she did not want to do it in front of me. And when I found out, I sat in my car and cried, because that is not what I want. I do not want to be the reason people cannot be happy out loud. I told Doreen that. I told her I would rather be treated normally than gently. She's been really trying since then, and the rest of them are getting there. The baby is due in about 2 weeks. I do not know what happens then. I have not let myself think past it, and I would appreciate it if nobody in the comments tells me what I'm supposed to feel about a child who is going to be my daughter's half-sibling, because I have already thought about it more than any of you have.